Welcome to 28 Days and Beyond.
The show where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture.
I'm Amari.
I'm Charisma. Welcome back.
Yeah.
What's up, AJ?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Great. I'm fantastic.
There
Thank
it
you
is.
for asking.
There it is, of course. All right, so check this out. We're still young and we're still youthful. Huh? One of the things I've noticed as my youth seems to, slide behind me is body changes, right? Wake up with sores from things that I don't have. I'm like, why my neck sore?
Why am I sore? What
that,
happened?
right?
Yeah.
Do you work out? Do you exercise? Do you do those things?
Recently.
Aha, tell me about it.
So I have always been one of those people that, like, I just don't like the gym, right?
Yeah, I got you.
Like, I just don't like it. So for me, I would always, because I love exercising, I love activities, so I would always have to, like, find new fun ways to, like, stay in shape.
Yeah.
So for years it was dance, and then it was sports. I played basketball, soccer, softball, and then recently I circled back to dancing. So I get my, well, she was 10, she just turned 11-year-old little cousin.
Oh, okay.
And so she's got all of the energy of all of the children, of all of the lands. Mm-hmm. And she's a big fan of Just Dance. And so she started bringing it. It's this video game. And so you have controllers in your hand or whoever else is playing. And basically you have to follow whatever's happening on the screen. But, like, it's a real workout.
Yo.
And so I'm in there, like, breathing hard, like, pass me a water, because she brings it over every time I get her.
What are you talking about?
And she's like, I'm fine. She'll just take off her sweater and,
I thought you were going to say something like you, Aunt Viv, up in the dance class.
I mean, that too.
That too. Yeah, exactly.
But.
No, but, I mean, this is an important thing as we've spent a lot of time talking about health, wellness, a lot of mental health and things like that. But physical health and fitness is also very important to this conversation. I know I want to exercise.
So are you doing the
in my
things
mind,
that you want to do?
I'm getting it in my mind. Nah, but like, little things like I work on the 8th floor.
So you walk the steps?
I take the steps, you know what I'm saying? I remember last time I took the elevator.
That's good.
So stuff like that. But what I think is really powerful about exercise is doing it in a communal context.
Yes.
Recently I took a trip to Tanzania. My roommate and I, we worked out every morning. I was pushing myself in ways that I had never pushed myself. You should have seen when I came back. I was brawling.
And you didn't keep it up?
Nah, I haven't done a push-up since. But
I'm gonna tell your roommate.
You already know. But today we're joined by Lionel Brody, who is the founder of the Original Propaganda Athletic Club. So we'll be talking about this and so much more when we come back on 28 Days and Beyond. We're back on 28 Days and Beyond, joined now by Lionel Brody.
How you doing? Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So before the break, we were talking about Original Propaganda Athletic Club,
right?
Health and wellness, all of that. What was your motivation behind this?
I started training for a half marathon, and the training group I was in was all beginners. And so it was like 4 or 5 of us. We went to a program that was like really awesome for us. Everybody was at a different pace, but we were all, kind of starting and transitioning together. So the leader of the group decided that they wanted to do a group run with like another group. So we get there, and this group is like, if you ever seen dodgeball, it's going from like average Joe's to like Globo Gym. So we show up like with the, like your camp T-shirt with like grass stains on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, slouchy socks. And this group is in like, singlets with bibs still on them and like utility belts. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. So we do this run. It's like an 8-mile run, and they drop us from the door.
Yeah.
I start crying, and mind you, this isn't like this is like 7 years ago. Like I start crying.
Yeah, right.
My girlfriend doesn't know, so she still doesn't know to this day. She's my ex-girlfriend now, so I start crying.
Right?
So when we got back, I said, if I ever wanted to do something on my own, I wanted to make it so it would be super inclusionary because, when you're trying to build a sport like running, which a lot of people on the outside are kind of, fearful about, if you exclude people like that, it's counterproductive to what you're trying to build.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So that moved you into Original Propaganda Athletic Club.
It started as Villanova Run Crew when I used to work here. So it was like a bunch of people, coaches, interns, who all worked in athletics. We used to meet on campus, run 3 times a week, just kind of socially. And then it ramped up into a, let's train for something. So we all started training for the same half marathon. But if you're familiar with athletics, the turnover is crazy.
Yeah.
So people, get jobs, interns move on, coaches, whatever, people graduate. So it kind of just fizzled out. So I was kind of by myself. At the same time, I started a clothing line, Original Propaganda. So I was focused on that, but missing like the communal aspect of running. Somebody to hold me accountable, train together, whatever. And so one day I was in New York and I was going past the New York Athletic Club and I was like, that's our muse. So we started Original Propaganda Athletic Club. We wanted the foundation to be running, but then once the running piece was buttoned up, we would just start to add, the next sport, softball, soccer, or things that we could still be competitive. We never got to that point. It's kind of stayed, centered on running, but that was the goal.
Where did the name come from, Original Propaganda?
How honest do you want me to be in this answer?
I want you to be honest.
I was watching the History Channel one night and I was drinking like a fair amount of adult beverages. And there
fermented
was yes, exactly, on ice. And there was a program on how wars were marketed. And it started, this was 7-8 years ago. So it started with the internet and started working its way back. This is before social media. So the internet, cable television, radio, newspaper. And then it went all the way back to the posters, like, you can do it, and keep calm and carry on, Uncle Sam wants you, whatever. So I was like amazed by these graphics because, one, they're still profound to this day. Two, you can use them and put them on product, and they're, it's public domain. It's before like copyright law, so you can just print them up and you don't have to, pay for like this artwork that still means something. So I wanted to start a company called Propaganda. So my cousin said, let's call it Original Propaganda because we were using the original propaganda. And so that's where the name came from. And then we decided that we were going to take our logo, like our wordmark logo, and kind of base it off of like 80s, graffiti.
Nice.
So then it became like a mixture of like 80s hip hop and like, world history, kind of U.S. history more or less. But yeah, that's kind of how it started. Wow. Yeah, the name came from.
So, it's really just been a lot of, a running club.
Right.
Focusing on not only the people who left you in the dust,
correct,
but also the people who cried when they got left in the dust.
Correct,
so it's really inclusive in that sense.
Right. So we wanted to have it where when we get together, everybody's running. You could be a 5-minute miler or a 15-minute miler. We should all be able to, meet at the same place, run the same route, come back. I'm not frustrated or intimidated by you because you're faster than me. You're not annoyed with me because, I was like holding the group up or whatever.
Right.
Because the thing about running is super, super binary in its, in its purest form. It's speed and distance. And, but sometimes you harp on that and that becomes a problem. You either get judged because you only run marathons and this person is like a 5K-er, or, you're super, super fast and like I run at what we call bumble pace, like slow enough to like get all of your vital statistics, without like losing my breath, so to speak. And so we just wanted a community where if we were all together, everybody would feel included, then more people will show up, more people will run, more people will be active, more people will get in shape, without like that whole negative nervousness of how fast is the run or how long are we going to be running. Yeah.
Well, we definitely want to hear more about your story, but we have to take a break. So
okay.
We'll be back with more 28 Days and Beyond right after this.
And we're back on 20 Days and Beyond with Lionel Brody. So one of the things that we know, I think is really powerful about what you're saying about being inclusive, is that a lot of people are intimidated by things like the gym. I didn't say you was intimidated, but you don't like the gym. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? But things like that, because of that competitive, even if it's like an unspoken competitive thing.
Right.
How has Original Propaganda been able to deal with that?
Running is super, super competitive. So you have to acknowledge that up front. Like, this is a sport that, the thing that's cool about running is, anybody can do it. Then also, like if you never play sports, or if you used to play sports and now you have like this identity thing of like, you play volleyball your whole life and then after your senior day, it's over.
Right.
So you were known as a volleyball player and now like, exactly. Right. But so running gives you a chance to like be competitive. If you decide to run races, you're running for a time or you're running for a medal or you're running against like, whoever. So you acknowledge that up front, but then you realize in this community that they're like, we're all trying to help each other be better. Like we're all trying to push each other to, that next level of great, whatever you decide you want your great to be. Mine right now is trying to run this 5-miler without my leg falling off. And so when you verbalize
gotta watch out
that,
for the leg falling
yeah,
off,
exactly.
yeah.
That would be bad for a lot of things.
It would be, yeah.
It's my right leg too, so that eliminates driving and sneakers
Lots
and
of
a
problems.
lot of things.
Well, I mean, you could go overseas and drive. It's fine.
yeah, exactly. So when you verbalize it to your group, right? Now you have a bunch of people holding you accountable.
That's cool.
Exactly. So the trick is, being comfortable saying, I want to run this 5-miler on whatever date, and I'm trying to get this time or whatever, knowing that your friends are going to push you, not judge you if you don't make it, but be like that positive reinforcement that you need to help you get there.
That's funny because 2 of my very best friends were like competitive runners. One qualified for the Olympics before they got hurt. Antoine, friend of the show. One of my other friends was on a full scholarship for track. And so literally the only time I would run is when one of them was like, all right, we haven't run in however much time. They're like, all right, let's go. We're meeting at the track at this time. So that accountability and having somebody that really is going to be like, you're slacking.
Accountability, I kind of would want the person to be like, yo, I haven't, been physically active in about 8 years. I'm about to get out there. Not, I qualify for the Olympics. No, I'm good. Don't call me.
Sounds like somebody is intimidated.
But that's a blessing though, like,
right? Because they have the knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. That they view you enough and respect you enough to want to share that experience with you. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
The thing, running, golf, all these sports where it's kind of singular and it's a mental thing too. Like that's one of the beautiful things about running is that like, okay, I know when I show up to XYZ run group that like I could possibly be the slowest person or I could be the fastest. But if I'm the slowest person there, now I have the strength to like, I'm not going to let that deter me from like, this fitness.
But one of the things so you talk about fitness, because I think there are maybe about 3 or 4 people in the world who run for fun, right? The rest of the people are running for some other purpose, particularly we're talking about non-competitive running. These are folks who are maybe trying to get in shape or things like that. How does original propaganda work? Is there a formalized, we're going to get you to this goal, or is it just like, yo, just come rock with us and you kind of set your own pace?
It's mainly the latter.
All right.
You can have goals, like, we started working with nutritionists.
Yeah.
Cool.
Some people who trying to help, like I'm on I butchered my nutrition plan for today. But I'm on a plan.
Yeah.
I just had Domino's, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I had some stir fry that was really not healthy, and I'm probably going to go back to it later.
Yeah.
Can't
waste food.
Can't
waste food.
It's not one not. So you can have those goals if you want, and we'll put you in touch with professionals to help you get you there, or you could just show up and rock out like you just said. I think we talked about food, and that's important. Like a lot of people don't realize, and I myself know and forget on purpose, that the diet or like the eating part is 80 to 90% of it. So you can't.
True.
Somebody that owns a pizza shop told me you can't outrun a bad diet, and I looked at him like, bro, you just served. But it's the truth. People know better than I would.
I know, because
Exactly.
I'm here with this pizza every day.
Exactly.
Well, the thing that I find the most interesting is that you're really encouraging people to come as they are. Also that there's a communal aspect of it, and it I think takes away the pressure and adds more fun to like being healthy and staying active, because that's another thing. All of us need to be moving and doing something to stay active. So this gives people opportunities to do that in a really fun way, which I think is cool.
Yeah, and if you're like a person that's afraid of running because you've never run, a lot of times you will be spooked when you show up to these groups because everybody's talking about the next race, the next time or whatever, and you're just like, I just can't wait for the beer when this is over. But like if you have that group that's, that those barriers are broken down, and it's like, come as you are, like I'm gonna get after it for these 4 miles, but when it's over, we can talk about. We really don't even really talk about running sometimes once the group runs are over. It's everything else, but the run speaks for itself, and then everything else kind of falls into place afterwards.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time, but where can people find out more about what you're doing and how can they participate?
Right now, we're on Instagram heavy at Original Propaganda Athletic Club. I apologize, it's super long, but everything's spelled out the correct way. No apostrophes or anything like that. At Original Propaganda Athletic Club, check us out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll be back with more 28 Days and Beyond right after this.
And we're back with more 28 Days and Beyond.
We are.
Charisma.
So are you gonna,
Yes.
Are you going to be running
Yes.
anytime soon?
Yo, I'll be honest with you. Over the summer, I had gotten into this thing where I was like, oh, I'm just gonna run around the block. It's actually like a mile little route, right? I did it once. I said, that was nice. Did it the second day. Got to the point I was doing it twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. I felt good about myself.
Good.
I felt good about life. I got an app called the 7-Minute Workout. You know what I'm saying? The HIT method. You see what I'm saying? I was getting it all the way in. But then it's like, why?
What do you mean, why?
It's easy for me to be like, yo, this is a goal that you want to reach.
Right.
Right? Yo, I want to be able to X.
Right.
It's different from something that you're just kind of maintaining. So for the rest of my life, I just got to stay in shape. There's no goal attached to that. You see what I'm like? It's not a destination. I mean, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around, but I think one of the things that, you know, Lana was talking about was the mental aspect of particularly running. Thoughts?
I mean, that's fair. I never really thought about it that way. I just always think, like I said, movement is good for everybody. So even if you don't have like a tangible, like, this is my goal, I want to be able to run 5 miles by this date and 10 miles by this date, or to train for a marathon or a half marathon. Even if that's not the case, I feel like having people that you can do things to be physically active with that are fun is always something I'm gonna be like down for. I'm a person where I can only do stuff like that if I'm with groups.
Well,
like I don't really run by myself. I get bored, and that's why I don't like the gym. I get bored.
That's what I'm saying. If you get up with some friends, you're gonna be like, hey guys, I got an idea. Let's run around the block.
No, but for real, my friends that ran track, that's what they would do. They'd be like, hey, you wanna go to the track tomorrow?
And you would do it.
I'd be like, not really, but I'll go.
But I think one of the cool things about, you know, what Original Propaganda is doing is we're not judging.
Right.
Just come and do what you have to do.
And that's the thing.
I think
because I think a lot of people, as it pertains to running, like, runners can be elitist.
Oh, is that right?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, if you've done something for the majority of your life and you take it serious, like, that's something you would take serious. So somebody like me who, you know, only wants to run occasionally to, you know, have company with a friend or just to get my cardio in for the day, it's, you know, it's totally different. So that's why I think what Brody was doing is really cool, because it gives people on all different playing fields an opportunity to do something together.
That's what's up.
And get that cardio in.
Gotta get that blood pumping.
I might start running around my block again, though, or going to the track, because that's fun. Because
It
was hard when I was running around the block, because it's like the pavement is so uneven, and I'm like, my knees. So I'm like, maybe I should just go to the track.
Charisma will be at the track.
I said maybe.
This has been another episode of 28 Days and Beyond,
where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture. We'll see you next time.